The small shuttle shook as it entered the dragon's territory. Far below, the planet glowed with strange colors that shifted like liquid metal. The human child, Mira, stared out of the window, her green eyes wide with curiosity. She was small, maybe 8 years old, and had never seen anything like this before. The adults back on the space station had called her a test subject. They said she would be bait. The word made her shiver, but she did not understand it completely. She only knew that the dragon they spoke of sounded frightening. Beside her, Captain Kieran, the human caretaker, tightened his grip on the small strap of her harness. He was not a soldier. He was not trained for combat. He was just a man who had always cared for children. Kieran's brown eyes scanned the control panels, but his mind was on Mira. He refused to call her bait. In his eyes she was a child. A human child. And no one was going to use her to scare anyone. The shuttle landed gently on a plateau. The ground beneath them vibrated slightly, but it was not threatening. Kieran guided Mira out of her seat. "Stay close," he whispered. Mira nodded, her small hand clutching his. Her excitement had won over her fear. She looked at the sky, where clouds of strange energy swirled above the planet like ribbons. "They expect us to just wait here," Kieran said quietly. "They want to see what happens when a human is near the dragon." Mira tilted her head. "Why me?" she asked. "Because they think humans are weak," Kieran said softly. "But humans are not weak, Mira. We care. We protect. That is something they will never understand." As they walked toward the edge of the plateau, the air shimmered. A huge shadow passed over them and the ground seemed to hum. Mira gasped but did not move away. Kieran placed himself in front of her instinctively. The shadow grew larger, stretching across the plateau like a moving mountain. The dragon appeared. It was taller than the shuttle, with scales that reflected the sky like mirrors. Its eyes glowed with quiet intelligence. It did not roar. It did not strike. It simply watched. The alien observers floating in their hovering ships above signaled excitement. Kieran ignored them. He only focused on Mira. "Remember," he whispered, "stay calm. Don't be afraid. Show nothing but respect." Mira nodded again. Her small hand squeezed his. She had always felt safe with him. She trusted him. She had never met anyone who made her feel so protected. And now, as the dragon lowered its massive head, she realized it was not looking for prey. It was curious. The observers above started sending signals, trying to scare the dragon, hoping it would attack. Kieran blocked every attempt. He stepped forward each time, putting himself between Mira and the dragon. The child did not panic. Instead, she watched with fascination. She noticed the dragon's eyes followed them closely, almost like it was studying their hearts. Kieran knelt down to Mira's level. "The dragon can feel fear," he said softly. "If we show courage and kindness, it will understand." Mira nodded, understanding more than she could say. She took a small step forward, her tiny hand lifting toward the dragon. Its eyes blinked slowly and for a moment the world was quiet. The energy clouds above paused as if the planet itself was waiting. The alien observers became impatient. They sent louder signals trying to push the dragon into aggression. Kieran stood taller, his voice firm but calm. "No. We will not hurt anyone. We will not obey cruelty." The dragon lowered itself slightly, bringing its massive head closer to Mira. The child reached out without fear. Her fingers brushed against the edge of its scales, soft and warm, humming with quiet energy. The dragon did not flinch. It tilted its head, studying her. Kieran's chest tightened with relief. Mira had not been harmed. She had not screamed. She had reached out and the dragon had accepted her. Kieran took a deep breath and whispered to Mira, "See? Humans are stronger than they think. Stronger than anyone expects." Mira smiled faintly. "I think it likes me," she said. "I think it does," Kieran replied. He looked up at the alien observers. They were stunned. Their plan had failed, not with violence but with simple care. A human child had not been bait. She had been a bridge. And Kieran had protected her, just as he promised he would. The dragon lowered its massive body onto the plateau, making a low hum that resonated with the planet itself. Mira's eyes sparkled. Kieran stayed close, ready to guide her, but he also knew that the dragon had chosen to trust them. No orders, no plans could change that. It was something pure, something human, and it worked. As the sun began to set behind the alien clouds, Kieran wrapped an arm around Mira. "We are here," he said softly. "And we are safe. For now." Mira leaned against him. She had been called bait. But she felt like something else, something stronger. She felt like a daughter. Protected. Important. Human. And Kieran, looking down at her tiny face filled with wonder, knew that no one would ever use her again. Not today. Not ever. The plateau was quiet after the first meeting with the dragon. Mira clung to Kieran's hand as they moved slowly across the glowing ground. The air smelled faintly of electricity, and tiny sparks danced across the surface, like stars trapped in the soil. Myra's eyes followed every movement, and even though she was curious, she did not step too far from Kieran. Kieran noticed her careful steps. "Stay close," he said softly. "We don't want to surprise it. The dragon can feel fear and anger. We only need calm." Mira nodded. She remembered what Kieran had said before: humans were stronger when they cared for others. She felt brave because Kieran was near. The caretaker had become more than a guide. He was her shield, her protector. From above, the alien observers buzzed and clicked, sending instructions down. They wanted the humans to test the dragon to see if it would react. Some signals tried to push the dragon into movement like it was a wild animal. But Kieran ignored them. He refused to follow orders that could put Mira at risk. "They don't understand," he said quietly to her. "They think the dragon will attack if we make a wrong move. They think fear is the only answer. But it isn't. They don't know humans." Mira looked up at him. "What do humans do then?" she asked. Kieran smiled faintly. "We protect. We choose kindness even when it is hard. That is what makes us strong." The dragon shifted its massive form, eyes glowing softly. It did not roar or threaten. It only observed as if it were reading their hearts. Mira took a small step forward. Kieran kneeled quickly, holding out his hand to stop her, but he did not scold. He understood curiosity. He understood trust. "Not yet," he whispered. "We must show respect first." Mira watched the dragon tilt its head. Its scales reflected the shifting sky. Sparks of energy danced along its spine, but they did not come near the humans. It was calm but alert. Kieran realized that the dragon was testing them just as much as they were testing it. Suddenly, a small tremor ran through the plateau. Mira stumbled slightly. Kieran caught her instantly, pulling her behind him. The dragon paused, watching. It did not attack. Instead, it lowered its massive head, bringing its glowing eyes closer to Kieran and Mira. Kieran felt the hum of energy from the dragon. It was powerful but not dangerous. Not unless they acted wrongly. He whispered softly to Mira, "See? Just curious, not angry. Humans do not need weapons to be safe. We just need courage and care." Myra's fingers brushed against Kieran's arm. She felt safe because he was there, standing silently between her and the dragon. He had become her guardian in every sense. Even the dragon seemed to recognize this. Its eyes softened slightly, and the energy along its scales dimmed, like a storm calming. The alien observers above started signaling again, louder this time. They wanted a reaction. Kieran shook his head. "No," he said. "We are not part of their tests. We are not tools. We are humans." Mira looked up at him, amazed. She had never seen someone so brave. Kieran's calm strength made her feel like she could do anything. Even in the presence of a creature as enormous and unknown as the dragon, she felt safe. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to protect someone else despite fear. Kieran slowly stood in front of her, arms wide. "Stay behind me," he said. "Always." The dragon moved slightly, lowering one claw. Mira could feel the energy ripple across the ground, but Kieran held steady. He made no sudden moves. He did not shout. He only stood silently, protecting Mira. The dragon watched, its massive eyes following every gesture. Mira stepped closer to Kieran, holding onto his jacket. "Do you think it likes me?" she whispered. Kieran smiled faintly. "I think it respects you," he said. "And it respects me because I care for you. That is more important than anything else." The dragon let out a low hum, a sound that vibrated through the ground. It was not a roar. It was a sound of acknowledgement, of understanding. Mira felt the vibration through her feet and shivered in awe. She realized that the dragon was not a monster. It was a being that could sense truth, and truth mattered more than fear. Kieran knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "Humans have a gift," he said. "We can protect even when we are small. We can stand up even when the world expects us to bow. And we can be brave because we care for others." Mira smiled faintly, feeling pride in her small chest. She knew that as long as Kieran was beside her, she could face anything. And the dragon, massive and powerful, seemed to sense the same thing. They stayed together on the plateau until the strange lights of the planet shifted into calm colors. Mira leaned against Kieran, and he wrapped an arm around her. He would remain her silent guardian as he had promised. And for the first time she believed that humans could face anything, not with weapons or orders but with courage, care and love. The alien observers above could only watch. Their plans to provoke fear had failed. But something greater had happened. A bond had begun, one that no signal, no experiment and no fear could ever break. And as Mira looked up at Kieran, she knew she was not bait. She was protected. She was safe. And the dragon, silent and immense, was watching, learning and understanding. The plateau was quiet, but tension hung in the air. The alien observers above sent signals again, urgent and insistent. Kieran stood firmly in front of Mira, blocking the signals with his presence alone. He did not move to fight. He did not shout. He simply stood, silent and calm, a human wall between the child and whatever might happen next. Mira held his hand tightly, her small fingers trembling. She could feel the energy of the dragon all around her. It was massive, and its glowing eyes followed every move they made. But it did not attack. Not yet. Instead, it shifted slightly, its gaze never leaving them. Kieran could feel its intelligence, its curiosity and, strangely, its patience. "They want you to step back," Kieran whispered. "They want me to leave you alone. They think it is a test. But it is not. You are not a tool, Mira. You are human. And humans are not for experiments." Mira looked up at him, confused. "But what if they are right?" she asked softly. "What if I am bait?" Kieran knelt down so his face was level with hers. "No one is bait," he said firmly. "Not when I am here. Not when we act with courage and care. The dragon can feel what is real. It can feel truth. And right now the truth is that I will protect you no matter what." The dragon shifted its massive form, lowering its glowing head. Sparks danced along its scales, lighting up the plateau in soft colors. It seemed to watch Kieran and Mira closely, as if deciding whether they were worthy of trust. The alien observers above signaled again, more aggressively this time. Their instructions were clear: provoke the dragon. Push it. Test it. Kieran shook his head. "No. I will not obey cruelty. I will not make her afraid. We do not act like this." He stood taller, planting his feet firmly on the glowing ground. "The dragon will learn respect not from fear but from our choices. That is what makes us human." Mira swallowed hard. She had never heard anyone speak so bravely. Her small chest rose and fell as she tried to absorb his words. Somehow, in the middle of an alien world with a creature she had been told was deadly, she felt hope. She felt safe. And she felt pride in the human beside her. The dragon's eyes shifted, focusing fully on Kieran. It tilted its massive head, almost as if it was listening. Sparks of energy moved along its scales, but the motion was gentle, like a living light show rather than a threat. Kieran stepped slightly forward, still blocking Mira, but his arms were open in a gesture of calm, not challenge. "Do you understand me?" he whispered, more to the dragon than to anyone else. "We do not fight you. We do not want to harm you. We only want to be understood. And you will be understood if you listen. If you trust humans, we will not disappoint you." Mira's small hand touched his arm. "I think it understands," she said softly. Kieran looked down at her. "Maybe," he said. "But we must show it the truth. Not with words. With our hearts." The dragon lowered itself closer. Mira could feel the hum of energy in her chest. It was strong, yes, but not dangerous. It was like standing near a sun that could warm or burn. The child did not flinch. Instead, she lifted her hand slowly, just a little, and reached toward the dragon. Kieran stayed close, his presence steady and protective, his hand hovering near hers, ready to intervene if needed, but not forcing her. The dragon's glowing eyes followed her hand. Sparks of light moved along its scales in a soft rhythm, almost like it was breathing with them. Mira's heart raced, but Kieran's calm presence kept her grounded. "You see," he said softly, "even the largest and strongest creature can recognize courage and care. That is the human gift. That is what makes us different." Mira smiled faintly, her fingers brushing lightly against the edge of the dragon's massive claw. It hummed with energy, not a growl, not a roar. Kieran put a hand gently on her shoulder. "You are safe," he whispered. "I will always protect you. Even if everyone else doubts, even if they want to test us, I will not let harm touch you. That is my choice." The dragon lowered its head even further, its enormous eyes watching carefully. It seemed to nod, almost imperceptibly. Sparks of energy ran along its body, soft and calm. Mira's eyes widened in awe. Kieran straightened, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. He realized the dragon was responding to the human choice of protection, the human choice of care, and the human courage that did not rely on weapons or fear. The alien observers above clicked their signals frantically. They wanted obedience. They wanted fear. They wanted control. But Kieran ignored them. He had already made his choice. Protect the child. Protect what is right. Trust in humanity's values. Mira took a deep breath, feeling braver than she ever had before. It trusts us, she whispered. Kieran smiled faintly. It does, he said. Because humans can do something the galaxy often forgets. We protect each other. We are not bait. We are family. And family is stronger than fear. The dragon lowered itself completely, resting on the glowing ground. It did not move aggressively. It did not strike. It only watched, still massive but calm. Sparks of energy flowed gently along its scales, like waves of light. Mira leaned slightly against Kieran, feeling safe. She realized that no matter how powerful the dragon was, the human choice to protect and care had been stronger. Kieran knelt beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. We made the right choice, he said quietly. We stood for what is right, and that is why we are still here. That is why the dragon listens. Mira smiled faintly, her small chest swelling with pride. She had been scared, yes, but she had not frozen. She had not fled. She had stayed calm, trusted Kieran, and reached out. The dragon had understood. And Kieran had kept his promise. She was safe. And as the sun's glow from the alien skies shifted to calm tones, Kieran realized that their choice, human courage and protection, had begun a bond that nothing could break. The galaxy might underestimate humans, but here, in front of a dragon, their strength was clear. It was not in weapons. It was not in force. It was in their hearts. The dragon's massive body rested on the glowing ground, but its eyes followed Kieran and Mira closely. Sparks of light moved along its scales in gentle waves, as if it were breathing with the planet itself. Mira stood a little taller now, no longer afraid, and Kieran remained at her side, silent and steady, his presence a shield and a comfort. For a long moment nothing happened. The alien observers above clicked their signals anxiously, frustrated that their plan to provoke fear had failed. Kieran ignored them. He focused only on Mira and on the creature before them. The dragon was not attacking. It was not threatening. It was curious, and it seemed to be waiting for something. Kieran knelt down beside Mira, whispering softly. The dragon can sense truth, he said. It knows we are not here to hurt it. It knows we care. That is why it has not moved. That is why it has lowered itself. Mira reached out slowly, her fingers brushing the edge of the dragon's glowing scales. It hummed softly under her touch, warm and gentle. Sparks of energy danced along its body in response, almost like it was acknowledging her presence. Mira looked up at Kieran, a small smile on her face. It likes me, she whispered. Kieran shook his head slightly. It doesn't just like you. It respects you. And it respects me because I chose to protect you. The dragon's eyes followed their movements. Slowly, it extended one of its enormous wings, not to strike, but to create a gentle shadow over Mira as if shielding her. Mira gasped softly. She had never felt anything so enormous and yet so careful. Kieran placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. See, he whispered. It understands protection. Just like we do. The alien observers above were growing frustrated. They sent more signals, trying to push the humans into action, trying to see aggression. Kieran stood tall and ignored them. He did not shout, he did not move suddenly. He only kept Mira close, showing the dragon through their calm actions that humans could care and protect. Slowly, the dragon lowered its massive head closer to Mira, its eyes glowing softly. She reached out again, this time touching the warm surface of its snout. The hum of energy was soothing, like standing near a living light. Sparks danced along its scales, wrapping around her hand like ribbons. Kieran's heart swelled. The dragon had chosen trust. You see, Kieran whispered. It is not dangerous. Not to us. Not because we are human and not because we are strong. But because we are kind, because we protect each other. Mira looked at him. So, we're friends? Kieran smiled faintly. Yes, he said. In a way, yes. A dragon and humans can be friends, if we show respect. That is what makes humans special. We protect. We care. We are not just tools or soldiers. We are family. The dragon shifted its massive form slightly, moving closer to the humans. Sparks flowed along its scales like a river of light. Myra's small hand stayed on its snout, and Kieran noticed the dragon's posture relax. It was not a predator. It was a protector like him. Kieran felt a deep sense of relief. All the fear from before, all the worry about being bait had faded. Kieran whispered to Mira, This is why we never give up on what is right. Even when others expect us to obey blindly, even when they want to test us, humans make choices. We choose care. We choose protection. That is our bond with each other, and now with the dragon. Mira hugged his arm tightly, feeling proud and safe. She realized something important. Courage was not fighting. Courage was standing for what was right. Courage was protecting someone smaller than you. And kindness could form bonds stronger than fear or power. The dragon let out a soft hum, a vibration that ran through the glowing ground. Mira laughed softly, thrilled by the sound. Kieran smiled. The creature was not only alive, it was acknowledging them, recognizing them, accepting them. The connection was real and it was powerful. The alien observers above could no longer control the situation. They tried sending more signals, but the dragon ignored them. Its massive eyes stayed on the humans, its energy calm and steady. Kieran realized something profound. Humans were not tools for testing. Humans were more than that. They could inspire trust. They could form friendships that others could not understand. Kieran knelt beside Mira again, placing a hand on her small shoulder. "This is our bond," he said softly. "You, me, and the dragon. It is not made with words or weapons. It is made with protection, with care, and with courage." Mira smiled, feeling proud. She had been told she was bait, that she was small and weak. But here, on this glowing plateau, standing beside Kieran and touching the massive dragon, she felt strong. She was not just a child. She was part of something bigger. Something important. Something human. The dragon lowered itself completely onto the glowing ground, wings folded protectively, its eyes never leaving the humans. Sparks of energy flowed gently along its scales, like a river of light, calm and warm. Mira and Kieran stood close together, and for the first time the galaxy seemed smaller, gentler, and more hopeful. Kieran whispered to Mira, "Humans are underestimated in the galaxy. But here we have shown them our strength. Not in battle, not in weapons, but in courage, in care, in love. That is what makes us strong." Mira nodded, her small hand still resting on the dragon's glowing scales. "We are family," she said quietly. "Yes," Kieran agreed. "And nothing can break a bond like this." The dragon let out another soft hum, vibrating through the plateau like a song. Mira leaned slightly against Kieran, feeling safe, proud, and happy. For the first time she truly understood. Humans could protect, humans could bond, and humans could inspire trust even in the most alien of creatures. And in that quiet, glowing moment, Kieran knew that they had begun something new. A friendship that would change the galaxy's view of humans forever. The sun hung low over the glowing plateau, painting the alien clouds in soft shades of gold and violet. Kieran stood beside Mira, his hand resting lightly on her small shoulder, while the dragon lay calmly nearby. For the first time since they had arrived, there was no tension, no fear, no tests. Only quiet understanding. Mira looked up at the dragon, her small fingers brushing its shimmering scales. She had once been called bait, someone meant to draw danger. But now she felt proud. She had reached out. She had stayed calm. And she had been protected. She was not bait. She was part of a bond that could change the galaxy. The alien observers above hovered silently. Their signals had stopped. They could no longer command or provoke. The humans had shown something they did not understand. Courage without aggression, strength without weapons, and care without expectation. The dragon had accepted them, not because of fear but because of humanity. Kieran knelt beside Mira. "The galaxy often underestimates humans," he said softly. "They think we are small, weak, or easy to use. But we have a gift they cannot measure. We care. We protect. And when we do, we can form bonds that no one can break." Mira smiled faintly, her small chest swelling with pride. "We're strong," she said. "Even when we are small." "Yes," Kieran agreed. "Strength is not only in size or power. Strength is in our hearts." The dragon shifted slightly, its massive eyes meeting theirs. Sparks of gentle energy ran along its scales, lighting up the plateau in calm waves. Mira leaned closer, feeling the warmth of its presence. She could hear the soft hum of its energy, a sound that seemed to sing with trust. Kieran looked up at the alien observers. Their plans had failed. They had thought humans could be used as tools, as bait. But the humans had chosen differently. They had chosen protection. They had chosen courage. And in doing so, they had gained something far greater than the observers could understand: respect. The dragon rose slowly to its full height, wings folding elegantly behind it. It looked at Mira, then at Kieran, and let out a soft, low hum. Sparks of light traveled along its body, gentle and steady. It was a signal, clear to humans though others might not understand it. It was a sign of trust, of recognition, of friendship. Kieran smiled faintly. It understands us, he whispered. It knows humans can do what others cannot. We can care even when fear is all around. We can protect even when danger is near. And we can form bonds, even with those who seem impossible to reach. Myra's eyes sparkled. She had been afraid at first, but now she felt strong. She had learned something important. Bravery was not running toward danger. Bravery was standing for what was right. And sometimes bravery was simply being kind. The alien observers began to retreat, unsure of what to do. Their tests had failed and their assumptions had been proven wrong. Humans were not weak. Humans were not tools. Humans were something greater, beings capable of courage, care, and understanding that could touch even the most alien of creatures. Kieran knelt down and whispered to Mira, "This is why humans matter. Not because we fight the strongest, but because we can protect the smallest. Not because we obey orders, but because we choose what is right. That is what makes the galaxy take notice." Mira hugged his arm tightly. "I want to protect too," she said. "You already do," Kieran said. "By trusting, by caring, by standing brave. You are already human. That is enough." The dragon lowered its massive head once more, allowing Mira to rest her hand on its snout. It hummed gently, the vibration flowing through the glowing plateau like a soft song. Mira leaned against Kieran, feeling safe and proud. For the first time, she knew that being human was more than just living. It was a choice, to protect, to care, and to form bonds that no force in the galaxy could break. Kieran looked at the dragon. "We will be friends," he said softly. "Humans and dragons. And together we will show the galaxy that fear is not the strongest force. Courage and care are." The dragon's eyes glowed warmly, almost like a smile. Sparks of energy traveled gently along its scales. Mira laughed softly, delighted by the sound. She had been called bait, but she had found family instead. She had been protected, and now she was part of something greater. As the sun sank behind the alien clouds, the plateau was bathed in golden light. Kieran wrapped his arm around Mira. "The galaxy has learned something today," he said quietly. "Humans are not weak. Humans are not tools. Humans are protectors. Humans are strong because we care. And that strength will always be remembered." Mira rested her head against him, feeling safe and proud. She looked at the dragon one last time. Its massive eyes were calm, bright, and full of trust. She understood now that courage was not about fighting monsters. It was about protecting others, standing for what is right, and choosing kindness even when fear surrounded you. The dragon rose slowly, hovering slightly above the plateau. Sparks of light shimmered across its scales as it looked at the humans one last time. It was a silent promise. They were allies. They were friends. And their bond would change the galaxy forever. Kieran held Mira close. "You are safe," he whispered. "And together we have shown the galaxy what humans can truly do." Mira smiled faintly. She had been called bait, but she had become something greater. Protected, brave, and part of a bond that no one could break. Humans were not just small, fragile beings. Humans were strong because they cared. And in that moment, standing beside her guardian and the dragon, Mira knew that humans would always matter in the galaxy. The wind from the planet's glowing plains whispered around them, carrying the soft hum of the dragon. The universe had learned its lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were not tools. They were guardians, protectors, and friends. And that made all the difference.